Sports Office today, we've got a very special guest who comes in every once in a while. Vice President of Athletics, Paul Krebs, is here to join us today. And, you know, this is a man who right now enjoying life, but at the same time, everything's good at the university, but there's that one program that's reminding you that this is a grind sometimes, football.
Well, we're not doing very well in football, Van. It's disappointing, you know, fans frustrated, yeah. And I would expect them to be. If they weren't angry or upset or frustrated, I'd be disappointed because it meant they didn't care. And we're 0-5, we're not very good. We need to get the football program turned around. You know, when you look at all of our other fall sports, they're having a great year. Women's soccer is ranked. Our 2 cross-country teams are in the top 10 in the country. Men's soccer is always good under Coach Fishbein. Volleyball made the tournament last year, and I think we're in 2nd place in the league and have played one of the top schedules in the country. Academically, things have never been better, and we're bringing a $60 million renovated pit online. We're beginning the design process for renovations to our baseball facility. There's so many wonderful things going on, and it speaks to the presence and the strength and the shadow that a football program casts, because there's a lot of unhappy campers, myself included, because of a bad football season.
You know, everybody's, of course, the easy thing for people to do is, fire Locksley. You know, they've been screaming. The fans have, you know, after every game, they're coming on talking about, get rid of him. And I mean, you know, I know somebody interviewed you earlier this year about that same thing. I mean, what do you say to people when they want a quick fix like that? What do you say?
Well, number one, as I said, I think you understand the frustration. You understand the fact that people aren't happy. I'm not happy. Coach Locksley's not happy. The football, nobody's happy being 0-5, and so I think nobody has their head in the sand. We recognize this is not good. This is not where we want to be, and the disappointment of that. You know, we evaluate a program unless there's something incredibly urgent and wrong. You don't make coaching changes in the middle of the season. I think Mike's midway through his 2nd year. He deserves time to do what he needs to do to get the program on track. And so patience is not something that sports fans want to hear. We need to show results on the field. We need to get better. I think better days are ahead, but it's a difficult, frustrating time right now, and it's understandable. And I think it was Winston Churchill who said, how do you go through hell? Well, you take one step at a time. You keep marching through it, and we're in a very tough situation, an unpleasant time, and you just keep looking forward and plowing ahead.
When you as far as the criticism goes, on all levels, even for you, when all that is happening, you just made the statement from Churchill, you just walked through it. How tough has that been? I mean, there's a human element to this too. I mean, because you guys have families and all things like that, you know, and how tough is that? That's why they pay you the big bucks, you know, to get all the stuff thrown at you.
First of all, I think it's hardest on our football coaches and their wives and their families. You know, they're probably getting at the brunt of anger, criticism, or frustration, and it's a frustrating time for them professionally. I just, how do we get better? You try and look at the positives. I don't pay a lot of attention to the criticism. I think when you're in a position of leadership, you do what you think is right, you make the best decisions you can, right, and you keep moving forward, and you can't be distracted by do we listen? Do we listen to our fans? You betcha. Do we hear our fans? You betcha. And you try and filter all that, and then at the end you make the decisions you think you need to make. But I try not to get distracted by that. I try and focus on the things ahead of me, in front of me. I get great support from my family at home, and life's good. I can't complain. We'll get this thing fixed.
And as far as football goes, you know, nationally, you guys have been getting a lot of bad press too. You know, like you guys and the Aggies, ESPN's bottom 10, they keep picking on you guys. You guys' game is the pillow fight game. And then there's the question that some people have, well, should they even have Division I football? Because it seems like as a state, it's hard to get competitive teams or conference winners every year in both places, even though I think that's a cop-out, because I remember, you know, I've read about it because I was a little guy when it happened. Back in the 60s, the Aggies had good teams and the Lobos had good teams. So I mean, what do you say about that as far as keeping Division I football? Do you think that's a crazy idea that to even bring up, that somebody suggested maybe you dump it, or?
That's not anywhere in our cards, Van. We're committed. We're a Division I athletic program. We compete at the highest levels. Is our football program struggling? Yes, but we're in a conference that is on the edge of trying to get a BCS bid. If you look just at the most recent history, my first 2 years here, we were in bowl games.
Yeah.
Rocky's last, prior to his last year, and the drop in the program, we were one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the league for a number of years. So there's history, and it's a very recent history of success. I can't speak for New Mexico State and what works or they should or shouldn't do. What I can tell you is that we're committed to Division I athletics. We're committed to a Division I program. That's not even on our radar screen. It hasn't been discussed. Our challenge, our focus is how do we get better? How do we get more competitive? How do we grow the sport of football, not only at a high school level, but at a youth level? And then how do we produce more Division I athletes, produce more Division I athletes in the state, so that it certainly makes our job easier if there's more Division I players in the state. But nonetheless, our challenge is how do we get better, and we will get better.
New Mexico State, happened to be the rivalry game. Now, when that game, either basketball, football, or whatever it is, are you do you have that big gulp full of Maalox and a straw in there when you watch that game? Or how is that game for you, no matter what sport it is?
It's a rivalry game, and it doesn't matter whether we're 0-5 and they're 0-4. It's your rival. You want to win that game, and I can tell you last year, the sinking feeling, the hurt when they score at the end of the game to win the game. That's first time I had been part of a football program that had lost in Mexico State. It's a horrible feeling, and one win doesn't salvage a season. You play all your games to win. But I can tell you that this win Saturday would be a huge win. It gets us on the right track. It can create some momentum and energy. And right now, the young men and our coaches in our program are working really hard. We're not seeing any results, and there's no question that from a confidence factor, they just when you've not had success, from competing, here it goes again. That confidence level is low, and if we can turn the corner and get a victory, then we'll see what happens. But as I said earlier, we want to win this game. We want to win every game, and we'll figure out this football program. And when the end of the season's over, we'll sit down and figure out where we go and how we continue to get better and continue to be more competitive. It's important that we compete at a high level in college football.
As far as competing at a high level in the BCS thing as a conference, do you think that's going to happen for the Mountain West ever? Because, it seems like no matter what you guys do, they always try to cut you all at the knees. Even this thing, you hear people saying, oh, TCU to the Big East, and they try to pick apart or try to destroy the conference if you guys get too close. Will it ever happen?
Well, I certainly hope so. Will it happen? I don't know. I think there are challenges in front of us. Certainly, if you look at the addition of Boise coming in next year, and then depending upon when Fresno and Nevada come in, they're adding depth. We're adding a top 25 team in Nevada. Fresno is, I think always a competitive program. So I think our league gets better. I think our league gets deeper. Will we get in? In the end, we have to do it on the field. We have to win games. Yeah. The elite in our league right now, that's Boise and TCU, or Boise coming in and TCU. They've got to remain strong, and the rest of us have to get better. And if we continue to win on the field, then I think we need, we'll knock the door down. But we have to do it on the field, and then we'll fight the battle in the courts, or in the court of public opinion, or with the BCS formula. But I think it's possible. But we have to get better at the University of New Mexico.
When you talk about getting better, you like I said earlier, you have people keep saying, oh yeah, do you think it's ridiculous that people are even calling for somebody's head midstream? Because that's like the cardinal sin of sports. Don't quit anything, and people are calling for Mike's head. And I think some people don't understand the program, how football works. There's a big change, and unless you're at practice every day, that some better things are on their way.
There are talented young men in the program, Van. There are people being redshirted and transfers, and you can see better talent coming into the program. I think we're in a society today because of Facebook, email, text messaging, you name it. It's a microwave society. We expect things to happen and happen quickly and happen now. And it's not happening now with our football program. We're 0-5. We were 1-11 last year. I understand why someone would be frustrated, why somebody would express their concern. I think continuity in leadership is always important. It's always helpful, and yet I understand the frustration of the program. And when you make the kind of salaries that we make in Division I, that adds to the frustration. Person's making X or Y. How come? My goodness, I heard complaints about Coach Alford after his first year, even though he had a great year. Hey, he didn't win anything. He didn't win the conference.
Wow.
That's just how some fans are. And I wouldn't even say they're fans. I would say they're people on the sidelines throwing stones who are going to be negative about any situation. My point, though, is that people have a right to express their opinion. I don't necessarily share that opinion. I think you have to build a foundation. You have to build a program, and there's a lot behind the scenes that folks might not see. But I'm not going to criticize people for expressing their opinion. They have a right to do that. What I would hope is that our fans, people who like the University of New Mexico and want to see us do well, come out and support the 85 guys on our football team. They're working hard every day. They haven't quit. They're giving great effort, and they deserve our support. Whether we win or lose, they deserve our support. So I feel badly for our players that there's not as much support behind the team right now as we would like.
And as far as the attendance goes, when does attendance start hurting you guys so much that you'd have to consider, maybe we have to make a change because of attendance? We're losing money regardless. You hear the word buyout, and then you think about attendance and everything. When does the attendance start affecting you so much that it's like, oh, we might have to do something?
I would make a couple of comments, Van. Number one, any coach, whether it's Coach Locksley, Coach Alford, you pick any coach in America, no good coach is going to sign a contract without a buyout. That's the way of our business. Right. You can be questionable of it, but it's industry standard, and so buyouts are a part of our business, right or wrong. Can fans speak with their pocketbook? Sure they can. Does declining attendance, does that drive the decision? I don't think it drives any decision, but I think it always becomes a factor in decisions, whether it's ticket sales, academics, competitive performance. I think you weigh all those things when you're evaluating programs. We had a decline in basketball attendance when Coach McKay was here. That's not why Coach McKay. That's not why we parted ways. We parted ways because competitively, we came to the conclusion that we needed to go a different direction. But fans can speak with their pocketbook. The question is how loudly and how much of a factor. But you have to consider that, just like you consider donations, just like you consider off-the-field performance of your student athletes, you consider academics, you consider recruiting ability, you consider teaching ability. You weigh all those things, and they're all part of the evaluative process.
Okay. And so for everybody out there who keeps hammering and calling you, this thing is going to go the whole year. You're going to evaluate like you always do at the end of the year.
What I've said consistently, Van, is Mike Locksley is our football coach, period. He is our football coach, and we evaluate all of our coaches at the end of the year. You observe, you watch, we have, Mike and I have consistent dialogue, but we evaluate our programs at the end of the year through the body of work. And but Mike's our coach. We've got 7 more games, and I'm hopeful that we win a number of those games.
And then you start getting, you know what, if you ran the table in those games, I guarantee you somebody would call you and complain.
They'd wonder what happened.
What are the chances of that? Yeah, exactly. What are the chances of that? Thanks, Paul Krebs, for joining us in the sports office. Robert Pugsley behind the camera. We're going to show Pugs one day, but not today.
With his blue on.